Guildpact was an amazing set full of high impact and iconic commanders. That's why I need 2 videos to go over how awesome they are. If you missed part 1, obsessively covering Ulash the Hateseed, Tiborn, Lumion, and Teysa Orzhov Scion, you should check that out by clicking the link in the description. This is part 2, the Dad episode, where we're going to talk about how awesome Ghost Dad, Dragon Dad, and Angry Barbarian Dad are in their collective swole glory. Let's begin. Ghost Council of Orzhova is 2 white and 2 black for a 4/4 legendary creature spirit. Whenever Ghost Dad enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. You can also pay 1 of anything and sacrifice a creature to exile Ghost Dad, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. What makes the Ghost Council so powerful and iconic is that it's an aristocrat machine in and of itself, really doesn't even need that much help to run its own engine. It has the enter the battlefield trigger down with a 2-point life swing, and the cost to sacrifice a creature to get that exile effect is only 1 nondescript mana. Besides the cost of the card itself, you almost can't get more accommodating than that. Now it's clear what we're doing here. The Ghost Council is designed to mass sacrifice creatures the entire game, triggering the Dad itself and hopefully a bunch of other cards and effects. With an easy trigger like this one and evasion built in, it's very difficult to deal with this card as long as cannon fodder exists. Let's look at some of the staples you'll want to build on top of this for the black-white aristocrat nonsense to function properly. Aristocrat decks must start with cards that take advantage of creatures dying. We're looking at cards like Zulaport Cutthroat, Cruel Celebrant, Blood Artist, and Vindictive Vampire. The goal here is to create a steady stream of expendables to bleed our opponents dry, and one of the best ways to do that is draining away their life total. But the synergy doesn't end there. Aristocrats keeps building on that. We're going to be gaining a lot of life here, both with our Aristocrat support cards, but also with the Ghost Council itself. Let's take advantage. First, we stack some more life gain where we can. Flesh Taker, Suture Priest, Impassioned Orator, and Lunarch Veteran may seem underwhelming, but this life stacking strategy bleeds everyone to death, which is the ultimate goal, death by 1,000 cuts. Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, Cliffhaven Vampire, Indulging Patrician, and Marauding High Priest. Just some of the ways this slow life gain will kill everyone. This type of deck is what Sanguine Bond was designed for. We want triggers on top of more triggers. Drana's Emissary drains on your upkeep, Agent of Mass drains and gains you more on your upkeep. Viscopa Guildmage can activate and become a Sanguine Bond, except it hits all your opponents, totally nuts. Pontiff of Blight gives everything Extort, which means whenever you cast a spell and have 1 left over mana, you trigger all your life gain, life loss shenanigans, and it gives the rest of your creatures Extort as well. There's basically no end to the life gain loss nonsense you can create in this kind of strategy, but this is only one part of the bigger picture. The other part I like to call value. Sure, we can sacrifice creatures and gain life and cause life loss, but why not do more? Why not be more sinister and more cruel? It just feels right, you know? How about we draw a ton of cards? Midnight Reaper, Clattering Augur, Vampiric Rites, Markov Purifier, and Dark Prophecy. Easy ways to refuel a hand that you just dumped onto the battlefield. For this deck to work consistently, there needs to be constant access to creatures. Without that, the deck basically does nothing. Luckily, Black-White has mastered the mechanic of making little 1/1s in a variety of ways. One of the most common is triggered abilities that are super easy to trigger. Hidden Stockpile, Regal Bloodlord, Teysa Orzhov Scion herself can fit in here really well, funnily enough. Keeper of the Accord has an each opponent's upkeep trigger, which is perfect to refill your battlefield in a multiplayer commander game. Attended Healer, another easy 1/1 producer. Ophiomancer gives you a free snake on each upkeep if you sacrifice the previous one before the next upkeep. You just keep getting snakes forever. Aketra's Monument is free creatures on creature spell cast. Genesis Chamber is always untapped, so free mirrors. Dreadhorde Invasion is going to make 1/1s assuming you sacrifice the previous army token before your next upkeep begins. Spirit Bonds, more free creatures on non-token creature entry to the battlefield. Angelic Accord, Bitter Blossom if you have $11 billion. Court of Grace, Blessed Sanctuary, Lingering Souls, Griffin Airy. That good? That enough for you? You get my point. And this doesn't even scratch the surface. There's so many more cards that create 1/1s for you to use in these colors. Just look up cards that create rats. Just you're done right there. So now we have creatures to sacrifice, ways to kill our opponents by sacrificing said creatures, and ways to gain a stupid amount of card advantage. The last piece of the puzzle, more sacrifice effects. If you have all creature production but no way to sacrifice them easily, there's no point in any of this. Teysa lets you sacrifice a bunch of white creatures. Viscera Seer is an infinite sack trigger, no real cost required, so go nuts. Smothering Abomination is an upkeep sack for you that draws you a card. Eiley is 1 mana to sacrifice, gain life, and trigger your nonsense, or she's 3 mana to sack and exile target non-land permanent. I'm not going to take a lot of time here, but if you have an Aristocrat deck, it's possible Eiley is one of your best payoff cards ever printed in the history of Magic. It's just absurd. Whisper sacks creatures to bring others back. That's just value. Altars Reap, Village Rites, Victimize, Dread Return, Bankrupt in Blood, Phyrexian Altar if you have $12 billion. Witch's Cauldron. Okay, look, I could go on forever with the options available to you for this Ghost Council Aristocrats deck. I think you've seen enough to know whether or not this is something you want to try. Hint, you probably do if you haven't already. The triggers are numerous and satisfying. You are very hard to kill, and you'll make your friends miserable. Nothing better than that. If you haven't already, take a deeper dive into the archetype. You will not be disappointed. Borborygmos is 3 of anything, 2 red and 2 green for a 6/7 legendary creature Cyclops with trample. Whenever Borborygmos deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Say hello to one of the least popular commanders in the history of Magic. Truly unplayed, untested, unused. It barely even makes it into other decks. It's honestly a little sad because while Borborygmos doesn't seem like much on the surface, the character is a phenom in the Gruul Guild, an absolutely massive beater, and most importantly, for our purposes, a Cyclops. That's right, this is the moment. Inside this Guildpact Commander Spotlight, we're going to make the framework for a Cyclops Commander deck, a tribe that has gotten literally 0 cards and definitely cannot be built around by any sane person. Good thing I'm not one of those. Let's go! Let's see what we have available for Cyclops. 24 cards in green and red. Oh dear, no, it's fine. We got this. Borborygmos Enraged doesn't auto-include 8 mana, which is hefty, but a 7/6 trampler can beat down most anything, and when it deals combat damage to a player, which will happen often as it's a 7-power trampler, you get to cheat some land into your hand. Then you can discard that land to bolt things. Good enough for me. Bloodshot Cyclops reminds me of Goblin Grenade, except this time you're chucking giant Cyclops at creatures or players. Nice removal spell as far as I'm concerned. Works great with Bone Pit Brute. Give something +4 power, chuck it at a thing, that's called synergy. We're getting there. Cyclops Gladiator is another power mechanic Cyclops with a decent creature removal trigger, especially if the creature is a utility creature. Destroy it straight away. Cyclops of Eternal Fury gives everything haste. Cyclops Tyrant has pseudo evasion and is afraid of tokens. Ikundu Cyclops needs some clothes, but I like the energy. Erratic Cyclops can be useful if we utilize some powerful spells pre or during combat. Decimate is great. Overwhelming Stampede can just win us the game outright. Along those same lines, Overrun, Triumph of the Hordes, immediate game enders there. You know, I think we might have something hilarious going on here. All those spells pump up the already trampling erratic Cyclops pretty big. Flummox Cyclops is a 4/4 for 4 with reach that is very confused. Gluttonous Cyclops can get bigger later. Gouge Zealot, did not even know this was a Cyclops, to be honest. Not bad. 4/3 with reach for 4 is okay. But if we can't get that Delirium trigger, no tokens blocking us today. Hulking Cyclops can't block, says so right in the card, that's a bummer. Ill-Tempered Cyclops has trample and gets bigger, I'll take it. Nyxborn Brute is a great Cyclops to sacrifice to the Bloodshot. Oaken Eye of Chaos isn't really meant for this life, but he's here so we're doubling his power, attacking, then probably throwing him at something. Polis Crusher is actually a great card, protection from enchantments, 4/4 for 4 with trample, mana sink later in the game, and it can destroy enchantments. This has legitimate utility, what a bomb Cyclops. Then we have Quakefoot Cyclops removing blockers, and you can cycle it, that's versatility right there. Rampaging Cyclops gets discouraged easily, but that's okay, it's still a body. Then Thunder Brute has a bunch going on. 6 mana for a 5/5 trampler with tribute 3. If they don't pay tribute, it's getting haste and you're spaying in with reckless abandon. Honestly, I'm kind of loving this Cyclops deck right now. I did not expect this to happen when I started making this video. Alright, if this is going to work and we're going to go deep on this, we need some travel support since literally none exists for Cyclops. Metallic Mimic, Adaptive Automaton, Vanquisher's Banner, and Bloodline Pretender make a solid foundation for travel support, but we have way more to work with. Chameleon Colossus, already big enough to be a Cyclops. Return of the Wild Speaker supports our Cyclops ambitions pretty well, giving us a mini overrun or card advantage. Kindred Summons is worth including because we did somehow have a sufficient number of Cyclops. Wait a second, let me go back to Borborygmos. I just thought of something. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Oh my goodness. Okay, Inspiring Call is in. We're going to get so many +1/+1 counters that this amazing combat trick will be turned on all the time. Rhythm of the Wilds is either going to make this game real fast or give us +1/+1s on all our Cyclops. The new Kodama the West tree, perfect for this deck, counters our modification, so we're gonna ramp. Evolution Sage proliferates on land entry to the battlefield so we can get even more counters. What about Aki Battle Squad? Okay, now I'm getting legitimately pumped for this. Cyclops and travel support and +1/+1 counter support because Borborygmos has trample and that's definitely going to trigger all the time. And thanks to a million magic sets coming out every 12 minutes, we have cards like Halana and Elena, partners, who fit into the color identity we need and buff up our other creatures with +1/+1 counters. Grumgully the Generous is just icing on the cake. We have to flood the board to build everything up to skyscraper heights, protected all with cards like Heroic Intervention, Silkguard, and Snakeskin Veil. Get more support and solidarity of heroes, Visions of Dominance, Fractal Harness, Bow of Nylea, Branching Evolution. Okay, I need to calm down. I think this video is really getting away from me. Am I going to make a legit Cyclops commander deck? I think I am. This is my life now. Amazing. I guess look out for that Cyclops stompy +1/+1 counter naked nonsense. This is brilliant, but I gotta move on. Niv-Mizzet the Firemind is 2 of anything, 2 blue and 2 red for a 4/4 legendary creature dragon wizard with flying. Whenever you draw a card, Niv-Mizzet deals 1 damage to any target. You can also tap Niv-Dad to draw a card. As far as Izzet commanders go, this almost couldn't be more straightforward and simple. Pretty clear plan here. Draw tons of cards, use Niv-Mizzet to destroy your opponents with his hilarious card draw trigger. Kill players, creatures, planeswalkers, first edition base set shadowless Pokemon cards, whatever you want. It can hit any target. Now, just because this version of Niv is relatively bare bones and not necessarily the most popular commander out there doesn't mean we can't have some fun with this. Whether you're running him as a commander or not, we need to take advantage of that easy draw damage trigger, so let's do it. Curiosity ends the game. There, we did it. Good job, team. Whenever Niv deals damage to an opponent by, let's say, drawing a card, you may draw a card. Oh wait, that means you deal 1 damage, zap, better draw a card, 1 damage, zap, draw a card. We did it, everyone. We won the game. Best part, Curiosity isn't the only card that does this. Tandem Lookout can soul bond with Niv, and Ophidian Eye is another enchant creature aura, except it has flash, so you can insta-equip it and screw over everyone on their turn. So good. That's what is unique about this Niv-Mizzet. It's a relatively self-contained win condition. Niv-Mizzet Parent has the same trigger as the Firemind, but the parent doesn't draw a card within its own control. It needs someone to cast an instant or sorcery spell. Niv-Mizzet Draco Genius has the ability, but in reverse order, requiring damage to be dealt in order to draw a card, sick card advantage, but not the one shot we're looking for. Really, it's just Niv-Mizzet the Firemind that does exactly what we want. If we're building this deck with this commander, the only possible reason is to get one of our win conditions on Niv himself and win the game outright, so that's what the rest of the deck is designed to do. Draw cards, find our win condition, protect Niv until the game is over. We need classic protection like Negate, Counterspell, Izzet Charm, Arcane Denial, all the bells and whistles. Once we find our second piece, it has to be protected or all this was for nothing. The strategy requires a massive card draw more than any other deck imaginable. Blue Sun Zenith, Windfall, Jace's Archivist, Whirlpool Warrior. If you're really in a rush and need to see something different, we've got Mind Spring, Deep Analysis, Finale of Revelation, then even smaller draw like Ponder, Preordain, Treasure Cruise, Serum Visions. Honestly, you can run any card draw you want, just be sure to include a mass of it. There's a lot of emphasis on this because there's really no other reason to run this Niv-Mizzet as the commander than this very specific win condition we're trying to create and subsequently drop the jaws of all our opponents, or at least the one opponent we're going to drive into the ground before we deck ourselves and win with a Laboratory Maniac. Anyways, the rest of the deck is a classic Izzet shell, so I won't go into excruciating detail. You want spell synergy cards like Goblin Electromancer, Gutter Sniper, all Chief of Compliance, degenerative spell cards. Then alongside them, as much card advantage and cantrips as you can find. Psychosis Crawler is solid, the new Ledger Shredder is fantastic here. You get to cycle through cards faster and create a threat on the board out of the deal. Get your big players in there, like the Locust God, all the aforementioned Niv-Mizzets. Arcanus the Omnipotent will die so fast, but if he doesn't, he's literally Ancestral Recall on a stick. Talrand makes a bunch of bodies for you. Electrode hits things, Electrostatic Field hits things, Thermo Alchemist hits things. Really utilize your core spell-slinging power here. On the surface, it's going to look like you're doing everything a normal spell-slinging deck does, and for the most part, that is true, but what your soon-to-be former friends might not know is that you're searching for something specific and important. That's why cards like Forgotten Creation and Magus of the Wheel get priority in here. In a lot of Izzet decks, these kinds of cards aren't seen as necessary or even important, but in this specific kind of Izzet deck, we need them. We need aggressive card filtering. We have to put this combo together as fast as possible, so as you're doing your nonsense, make sure to keep your counter magic in your hand to protect your combo when you do put it together. Get some Lightning Greaves or Swiftfoot Boots for Niv-Mizzet, probably both, and hold on for dear life as your whitewater raft on the choppy river of wheel effects and mass card draw to find your win condition. Again, not the most popular commander out there, but putting this combo together sure is fun as heck. Whether it be Ghost Council of Orzhova, Borborygmos, or Niv-Mizzet the Firemind, there is a lot of fun to be had with these legendary creatures. None of them cost more than a tic-tac, they are relatively easy to build around, and there are clearly satisfying results that you can attain. Guildpact in general was a special set with a lot of untapped power and underappreciated cards, so I hope you enjoyed this 2-part spotlight on its commanders. If you want to see a commander spotlight for a specific set in the future that I haven't done yet, leave it in the comments, let me know what you're thinking. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.